All right, I'm Mitch with Heartland Mechanical, going to go over the thermostat for the makeup air unit, which is located in the office here on the main floor. Looking at the home screen right now, right next to system, it'll tell you if it's in heat mode or cooling mode. To change that, hit the system button. Right now we're in heat. You could just tap on cool if you wanted to go to cool. Auto, it'll change automatically with the outdoor air sensor, which is what it's set on right now. To go back home screen, just hit the home button. To set your temperature, right now we're set at 68. Just as simple as clicking the up button or the lower button, and then done. And that'll hold that temperature, unless you want a timed hold, which is what it's on right now anyways, but they're all the same. It's just canceled out. Fan mode. So from the home screen again, just hit your fan. Right now it's on a schedule. The schedule is the same all the way through. You can change that schedule, but more than likely it's going to be the same. Go home again. We'll go to our menu button. Now this is where you can edit the schedule if you want different temperatures, different fan speeds throughout the day. It'll ask you if you want to use an assistant. It'll walk you through everything right away. Right now everything's set for the same. Nothing's fluctuating or anything like that. So we won't, kind of gets a tedious process going through there. We won't walk through that too much right now. So we'll cancel out of that. Here you can view the schedule. So it's saying it's heating to 68 degrees. It's cooling at 72 degrees. For every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all have a check by them. That means that schedule is active for every day of the week to heat at 68 degrees and cool to 72 degrees. And now the same thing right here, it's going through the different hour of the day. We started at 6 p.m., now it's at 10 p.m., 12 a.m. That takes care of that. There is a holiday schedule setting in here if you want to change it for the holidays. Right now that's set up the same as any other given day here. Dehumidification. Now this one you can't really do much with. The makeup air unit on the roof already has a sensor to handle the dehumidification. Ventilation, that's pretty much what we're talking about right now. Equipment status, that's going to tell you if there's an alarm that comes up, if it needs to clean a filter or clean a screen. Dealer information, it'll have info of the unit itself on the roof, product numbers, model numbers. Security setting, this is where you need a password to get in or to lock the unit out itself. And installer options right here. This takes a certain password to access. You won't need to access it. If you do, it'll take a service tech or someone along them lines to access that and change the parameters on the unit itself. There's a lot of things that can be changed in this one. That's why it's locked out with a password. So if you do need to access that, you would have a tech available with you, or just a tech or anybody else will access that to change things on the unit itself. So we'll go back home, and I think that takes care of everything on that.
Okay, so this is the training on the Smart Client, the video software system. It's called Milestone X Protect. The software itself is called Smart Client. The main recording is done downstairs in the box downstairs in the mechanical room downstairs by the electrical equipment. That's pretty much hands-free. It shouldn't ever turn off. If it ever turns off, there's a power button to turn it back on. It's on a battery backup, so it should be able to survive a power outage. Prolonged power outage, the battery backup will probably deplete and it'll probably shut off at that point. Then it's just simply turning it back on after that. It should start up and come back up and start recording all on its own. It records continuously on motion, so the cameras record only when it sees something move. Once the motion stops after about 5 seconds, it stops recording that. You can always view the live video while, no matter what, but the system doesn't record it unless something is moving. The cameras are all set pretty sensitive. The indoor ones are set more sensitive than the outdoor ones, so we don't record a bunch of leaves moving around on the street. But for the most part, we've got it pretty dialed in that it should catch pretty much everything. I mean, if a little kid moves way far down the end of the hall, it might not catch that. But we've got a lot of cameras, so as soon as it gets close enough, it's going to trigger it, and it's going to record 3 seconds before it started happening too. So we've got enough play in there that it should cover almost every incident they have. So the smart client here, we have everything saved in here. It's Lakeside. The password I've given to you guys already. I set it for auto login, so typically when you start the software, you don't have to do anything. It just goes right past the screen. All this information is all written down for you guys already. This is the server address. That's the IP of the machine downstairs. Basic authentication, Lakeside, and then the password. So we'll go ahead and hit connect, and it brings us into the regular smart client screen. You can see that there's a few tabs at the top. These are your main tabs. The main 2 tabs that you'll probably use is going to be live and playback. Live is just that, it's live. So within the live, right below that, you see there's what they call views. Views are the different groups of pictures that I set up for you guys to view the cameras on. So views can be changed and modified. I can go over that with you as well. But as you just click on the different views, the cameras will come up and you can see what's going on. If you want to double click to make a camera bigger, just double click on the camera and it goes to the full screen size. If you want to make it go back to the split screen, double click again and it goes right black. We've got lots of cameras in this building, so there's lots of activity. We've got like 35, 36 cameras, I believe. For the most part, this is really kind of the bulk of what you'll do. There's manual recording, which is this red dot here. So if you see something the motion recording should pick it up anyway, but if you see something that is whatever triggers you wanting to make sure it's recorded, you just simply hit that and it'll record continuously for 5 minutes. You can also zoom in. So if we take, like we see something down here, if we take the mouse and with the left click and draw a box on it, it will zoom in on that item. We can double click, go full screen, and get a better idea of what's going on. These are megapixel cameras, so they're not like the old analog TV that you're used to, 10 years ago. These are 2 to 3 megapixel cameras, so there's quite a bit of resolution here. You should be able to zoom in a few times and still be able to make what's going on. So you can just use the wheel mouse to zoom in and out. You also, if you use the wheel mouse, it'll center the zoom in on the picture. You can take the thumb tab here and move it around within the picture. Double click to go back out and zoom it out, and then we're all done. So most of your investigation pieces are going to be in the playback tab at the top. So when you go into playback tab, this is where it gets a little more complicated, but it's still, once you use it a little bit, it becomes pretty fluid. If we go to all interior view, you can see all the interior cameras throughout the building. On the bottom here, this is what we call our time bar. There's these 2 bars down here. The very bottom one is red, means that it's recorded video, and black means that it did not see motion at the time. So the red is all the cameras in the view. So every camera here continuously saw something move. Something triggered that make the whole thing record. The camera that's in the blue box, like the basement exit south, saw activity at these times where it was red. So the time in the middle on the blue bar is the time that is actually being displayed on the video at that time. The space here to here is right now 1 hour. That's what the slider is in the bottom right corner. We can adjust that. So let's say we wanted to look back 2 weeks ago. We can see all the activity that happened on that camera in the last 2 weeks. So we can go back to slide to a certain day. We can zoom the time bar back in to 8 out to right now we have it at 4 hours. So from here to here is a 4-hour span. Your blue line is where the video is going to play right in the middle. So when we hit play, we're actually seeing the video move. So if we scroll to just click, drag, and hit play. If we double click on this, we can play forward, we can play backwards, we can see what happened to make that video trigger and record at that time. I'm thinking it's probably just the clouds moving and the sunlight made it trigger. Yeah, it looks like just the clouds moving, making the sunlight, making the room lighten and darken. So that's really it. We have we can make it play faster and slower with the bar in the center. And we can slow it down as well. Then also, if you want to, a camera, you know what time it happened at, we can click on the start and end time clock in the bottom here. We can choose our start, which is going to be here, and our end, which is going to be here. So we can customize that to exactly what we need. So let's say on November 22, and let's go 3:05 to 4:05 p.m. So here's our 3 to 4 o'clock window right here inside these brackets. We can zoom that in with the bar in the lower right and see what happened. Play backwards. So somebody walked down the hallway and turned the light on. We can also do our zooming just like in live. We can do that in playback as well. To click and drag a box. Use the wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out as well. So the last thing is normally is you found an incident and you want to save that image from getting erased, because eventually after about 25-30 days the video is going to be erased and written over again, so it's a continuous loop. If you have an incident that you want to save, we just simply need to find an incident. So we hit play here. So let's say that that's a little sneaky, and and let's say we want to save this footage separately. So what I'd like to do is right-click on the bar and hit Set Start Time, and then play it to where you want to see it end. Speed it up a little bit. Okay, hit pause, and then right-click and hit stop time. Now we have our brackets here. If we right-click within those brackets and hit Export Selection, it's going to should take that video and make it an line item in here. Let me try that again here. Let's make it a little bigger, I guess. Okay, I'm not sure why that's not working. time selection. Okay, there we go. I don't know what was going on there. So here it has the item that we want to see, and the start time and end time, and a preview video of what we want to see. So we can actually view it back in this window as well to make sure it's what we want to see. It asks you where you want to save your item to. So this is where on the computer it's going to save it. This comes to a default folder that the software automatically puts in. We can hit these three dots and save it to somewhere that's maybe a little more appropriate, like let's just say the desktop. So it's going to save it to the desktop area. And then it asks us the format we want to save it in. So there's two main formats that are commonly used to save video. One is, the first one that I recommend is the format that the software writes in itself. It's a secure format that can't be changed at all. Sometimes that becomes important when if it goes to a courtroom. It also depends on the law enforcement that's requesting it. Sometimes they want it in a protected format, sometimes they don't. So the XProtect format is a protected format. The media player format is not. That's a standard video file that can be changed or altered, but it also plays on almost any videos playing software. So it's a little more usable that way. So
do you save it both ways?
you can save it both ways. The XProtect format is, the video files are typically very large. So as a rule of thumb, you want to make your time as small as possible. Minutes versus hours is always a good rule of thumb. But the XProtect format, the protect format is going to be more smaller. It's going to be able to compress the video better and still keep its quality. The media player format is going to be larger because it doesn't have the compression that our software does. So there's pros and cons to each. I would recommend the media player format myself. You can do both. It just takes a little longer because it does it 2 times instead of once. The XProtect format, if I hit this little chevron arrow down, it also includes the player to play it. So it comes with a piece of software that you can use on any computer to play that back on. So if we hit Start Export now, oh, I hit the password protect. You can password protect the video if you want to. That's up to you. You just check it, start export, and enter your password. But if you lose that password, you're not seeing that video. So just be cautious with that. I'll uncheck that. And we'll start, and now you'll see the status bar up here as it's rolling through its export. It's taking the video and saving it from the computer downstairs and saving it on the computer here. Yep. It says it's completed. So now if I minimize our software, I see the folder that it created, export, dated for today. If I open up that file, I see the Smart Client player. If we open that, and there's our played video. Looks in the same format as the regular Smart Client. We can hit play.
And it's saved.
And it's saved. It's saved separately. It won't get erased. You can put that whole file on a thumb drive or burn it to a CD and give it to whoever or whomever.
Okay.
So
Good to know. So we should do that with that one client that was smoking in the hallway.
So I will right click and delete this so it doesn't take up space. So once that's done, we can click the little X to get rid of that. And that's the gist of it. Again, you can slide the bar around, see what's going on. It's kind of nice because it's a busier camera. So, any questions?
I don't think so. Some of the incidents, this is good that we can save for documentation.
Sure. Mm-hmm. There's also one other feature that, like, let's say this image deposit and this image is a clear indication of what you want to see, but you don't need to save the entire video.
You take a picture.
Yep, we can create the little disk icon here is create a snapshot. Then I will look up where that goes because I don't remember off the top of my head. So path to snapshots is users, so it goes right to your documents folder. So if we go to that location, so go to documents, there's that picture.
That's
So
good too. That's all we need.
And that would take less.
yeah, this is just a
Space.
picture, not a video, so much less space. And a lot faster and easier too, so. So, yeah, that's everything that I really have for this piece. So now we're going to do the training on the Net2 software. This is the software for the key fobs for all the tenants and all the tenant doors, as well as the building doors, like the stairwell doors and main entrance, trash room, and so on. When you double click on the access control icon, you get a login screen. If you hit the login screen, we have users that are set up as fob administrators, I'll call it. So, like, let's pick on Pat, and we'll have Pat enter her password for me. This is the main screen of the Net2 software. There's a lot of shortcuts on here, but we'll kind of go from left to right. So if we start in the event tab at the top, this is every event that happens whenever someone uses a fob or makes a change in the software. So like here is where Pat just logged in. We also see live events coming in. We had Mary just use her fob on unit 104, Amanda used her fob on 106. It logs these and it keeps them for, I'd say probably a year. So it's going to hold them for quite a while. The units, they're also searchable, so you should be able to search by last name and just find all the tenants of that. There's a few ways to do that. We can go over those. So the next tab is, or the next item is users. So this is every user in the building. If we click on a user, we'll use the one that we have in here temporarily. We can see the access rights. That's the doors that fob is permitted to use on. So the main entrance, north stairwell, basement, etc., and then the time zone. The time zone is when that fob works. So this is the door it's going to work on. This is when it's going to work on it. Right now, this is set. This user, the WW Tech, is set to a certain access level. Right now, it's set to all hours, all doors. So it's every door, every time, 24 hours a day. If we wanted to change that, it'd be just simply to maybe just garbage. Then we see that it automatically changes all the doors for us based on that access level. So right now, that's only on the receiving room during working hours, which is a time zone or a schedule. If we scroll through, we see that it's not going to work anywhere else. So that'd be for like the garbage guy. We also have the availability to do individual permissions. So do you want to use garbage as the template for that individual permission? We'll say yes, and it leaves what's already there in place, and then you can modify, click on the time zone, and choose what hours or what schedule you want that fob to work on that particular door. Like let's say on our stairwell, we want to give them access there as well, but we have other users that have that garbage access level that we don't want to give that don't want to give that to. Another example would be if you have a tenant that has maybe some other family members in the building, and you want to give, each one has their own fob, but you want to give maybe mother access to their another apartment. You can do that by just giving her access in the individual permissions. So that would be a nice place there. Or if you have a tenant that you're giving space to downstairs and you want to give them access to one of the stairwells so they can go down and get their storage things, that would be another instance where you could use that. So We'll change this back. Once you're done, you have to make sure you hit apply, because otherwise it doesn't save it. The next tab we have over here is tokens. So right now there's 3 tokens assigned to this WWTech user. So we can, if let's say that a token is lost and the user can't find it, we can just simply select lost token. Are you sure you want to mark this token as lost? Yes. If let's say they find it again, or they do never find it. So if they never find it, we can click on that token and just delete it, and then it makes it go to a little trash bin area. As soon as we hit apply, then it's gone. If they found it, we just click found token, and now it's back in and works just fine again. Other details, this is other extra information of that user that you can enter. It's not required, just for your notes. Memo is just that, extra information that you can use the software to log if you choose to. Events, this is the event of this fob every time of this user, excuse me, every time that it's used. So of just this user. So, I mean, this is the one that I have in my pocket right now. It was used in the main entrance and south stairwell. Last time it was used before that was on November 16th at 4:51 p.m. So, as you can see, it probably has all the dates going back to when we start the system up. So this is also the current validity of what fobs it's working on. It's also kind of similar in the access rights. So that is the users. Do I want to save changes? No, because I didn't want to change anything. Access levels. So access level is what groups of what fob you want to use on what doors. So as you can see, every apartment is listed here as an access level. So if we double click on an access level, we see that for unit 102, they have access to unit 102 as well as the other main entry doors. If we click on unit 107, they have access to the main entrance and only unit 107. These are all set up for you already. You shouldn't have to really do much modifying here. If we need to add a new access level, we could just click add new access level. We'll use a blank, enter in a name, we'll just call it test. Hit OK, and then we just choose the door and select the time zone we want it to work on. Every day, hit apply. Then we can have multiple users use the same access level or the same group. So if we go back to WWTech, we can choose test, and now this user only has access to what you chose for in the access levels. Time zones. Time zones are schedules, so they're what you apply to fobs when they work or to doors when they unlock. So the default ones that come with it that we haven't really changed is all day, every day, and working hours. So if we double click on a schedule like working hours, we see that it starts at 6 a.m. and goes till 1700 or 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If we want to make a new time zone, we can click on new time zone. We'll just call it maybe just time. Then let's say we want to make one for 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So we just right click, drag a box to 1700. We can see the time down here. Let's say we want to make that the same. So we can just right click, copy day, and paste it. Hit apply, and now we have another time zone that we can apply to other doors or other access levels for different times so that someone else can use their fob. Let's say you have a tenant that wants, hand out their second fob, but they want to only have access during certain times. They don't want to be disturbed in the middle of the night. You could create a no time zone, and then in the individual permissions, you could assign that fob to only work on their apartment door from those specific times on that new schedule. So like, let's say, if we went back to users and went back to the WW Tech, let's say we went to individual permissions, we'll hit yes, and now on apartment 109, we want it to only work during that time. Now it'll only work during those times. So like, let's say it's maybe a caregiver that only should have access during the daytime. That would be in a scenario where that would be useful. So let's go ahead and change this back. Outdoors, apply, and we'll get rid of that test one. And we'll get rid of that. So then we're almost done. One of the last few ones here is what we call doors. So this is the doors screen. This is all the doors throughout the system. There's quite a few. So the first 6 are the regular reader doors with the electric lock, the standard type lock, what I would call it. They're just the smaller rectangular readers. Those are hardwired in. There's no wireless, no batteries. They work all the time. And then the rest of them are the apartment door locks. Those are wireless door locks. They have AA batteries in them. The AA battery says it lasts for approximately 20,000 cycles. So that door has to unlock 20,000 times before those batteries should deplete. Not barring that there's never a bad battery in the world, but that should be they should last a couple of years.
And who changes them?
I can show you guys how to change them. It's pretty easy.
How accurate is the battery indication there?
I'd say it's pretty accurate. I've been told, I haven't witnessed it myself, but I've been told that generally it'll put a little line through this or a little red X on it saying that the battery's depleted and you should change it. So.
And what type of battery?
Just 4 AA batteries. So I would buy a better, higher quality battery because it's going to last longer. The rest of this, the symbol on the side here, is the signal strength of the lock to the wireless network that we have in here. It's a very secure, coded wireless network that can't be hacked or anything like that. And the system is always changing, and the locks are finding better signals. So these will change over time. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You see that some are full bars and some are less bars. The locks go depending on workload. There's a lot of factors as to why those bars are like that. The system is managing itself. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. So that if we click on one of the main entrance doors here, we can see the door name, the door group. We don't have any door groups. The door open time, that's how long, when you read your credential, that's how long the door stays unlocked for. That can be easily changed just with the arrows here, and then hit apply. The auto door unlock time. This is where if you created a time zone, let's say for the front door, that you just, the needs of the building change and you want to unlock the door during the daytime, so it was free in and out. We could easily just select create a time zone. Let's just for now say working hours, and hit apply. And now that door would automatically unlock during that time zone.
Close it.
Yep.
Lock at 5.
Yep. We can automatically turn that off, set back to no time, apply, and now it's only going to work when you present a fob. The rest of the stuff is mostly for event setup or for us to set up the system with, the readers, all that stuff. I wouldn't worry about that or really change anything here. The only other tab would be the events. So the events is only for this door, so only the main entrance. So every time that the main entrance is used, that's why. So some of these, you'll see that there's an event, especially for the main entrance, door opened with exit button. That means that's how I configured the system, so that when someone let them in with the fob or the entry dialer, the Mircom, or if somebody pushed the handicap button on the inside to open it, that means that the door is open. So it still logs those events. It just doesn't tell us who or why, which we could look back on the camera to see. So, so that's all those. And then lastly, if we shrink that down, is going to be reports. So report is if you want to create a report of who used a door or who was in, who was not been in, what full unused tokens. They have a bunch of default ones. So if we double click on report, this is tokens that have not been used at all, that have been issued but not used. We can also create a new report. So if we click on report, new report, report on events, or so we can create a report based on who's using a door or on the door that's being used. Let's say we want to create an event on the front door. So we click on door events. There's also on access permissions. So let's say that you have a multiple users out for the garbage profile, the garbage access level, and you want to see who's using them and who's not. We could create a report on that. So this gives us a list of everything that we can filter our report out. Show access events, yes. Show the invalid, yes. Maybe we don't need to see the exit or information or alarms. We hit next, then we choose our door. We can just click on individual doors with a single arrow, or we can just click all of them if we want to see everything. We hit next, and then we just choose our date if we want to do today, or if we wanted to do a custom range. Let's say it was only for the last 2 weeks. We could just enter those times here. Hit next. Here's our report, and then we can, this is our report. We can save it for next time. So when we save it, that's not saving this report, that's saving this template of the report. So if you want to run this report continuously, sometimes like fitness centers that we have access control in, they have to run monthly report for the people that have their, have to go 6 times to get their insurance payout. They have a custom report that they do every month to do that. So that would be a scenario there. So we can give the report a title, and it'll save it in this list as that type of report. If we want to save this information here, we just go ahead and hit the print button. If you have a printer, we can send it to a printer. Otherwise, like we have OneNote on here, so then you can just save it as like a PDF or something of that nature that you can just save as in that fashion. And you can see the information here. This is every door that was used for access permitted. So in just that 3-hour span. So I'm gonna hit cancel there. Net2 operators is the last item. That's the users that have access to view to modify the software to view other users. So if you have a new someone else that's also going to start issuing them, first you have to give them a fob or give them a user. Then you find their user, give them the access right that you want. Supervisor has all access. Timesheet, you're not using that feature. Token administrator, they can do tokens. Events only, they can only see events. I would just stick with supervisor, and then just enter in your password. There's no restriction on the password. It can be whatever. I think it's a minimum of like maybe 3 characters. So pretty wide open there, no big restrictions there. Cancel on that. If there's an event that you want to maybe just open the door temporarily, there's a button up here called Open Door. So if we hit Open Door, only the hardwired doors have this feature because the unit doors are going to a battery safe mode when they're not being used, so we can't tell those to just unlock. But the other doors we can. So like let's say you're having an open house and you want to have the main entrance unlocked, so we can select main entrance, and then we can perform the action on whatever we want down here. So let's say we want to open it for just 5 seconds, we can do that. If we want to hold the door open for, let's say, 1 hour, we can do that. Or if we just want to hold it continuously, we can do that. Then it'll stay open continuously until we come back here. So if we hit finish, the door is unlocked now. Now to lock the door, we have to come back here. Right now it tells us the door is unlocked. We check the box, close door. Oop. We'll do it again for close door, finish, and now the door is relocked. So
that would be nice if families using the commons area, the multi-purpose room, for people going in and out
Sure.
for a 2-hour dinner or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Versus someone just propping the door open. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that is everything I have on that. The only thing we could do is maybe look at the battery replacement.
Mm-hmm.
We can go over that, and that's really everything. So here, this is the inside of a unit. This is the back side of the PAX lock. You see that there's a little disc on the bottom here with a lock and unlock symbol. That is simply just the lock status of the cover. So this is the battery cover. So if we take the little tool, put it in, and turn it to so that the little arrow is towards the unlock symbol, we should be able to just slide this up and pull it away.
Oh.
And here's our 4 AA batteries. If we pop one out, they come out hard, which is, good. Come on. There we go. They even have the plus and minus symbol imprinted inside, so you just got to make sure that you match that up with the battery. Often it's just like every other electronic device, the spring goes towards the flat side. When you power it up, you'll hear it lock and unlock. And normally after you power it up, it takes a full minute for it to fully start up and boot and get back online. So for that first minute, it won't work right. And if we open the door and look on the front side, a lot of times the lights, there's 2 green lights on here, they'll flicker back and forth while it's starting up. That's also normal. Once the door is working again, after about a minute, we should be able to test it, and it should be back online. So we'll let it finish starting up here. We'll put the cover back on. We just fit it back down, slide it down in place. Take the lock and turn it back to lock. Now it's locked, and we can't get in there. If we open the door back up and test it with our fob, door works, and we're all done. So.
Okay, we're going over training on elevator cars at Lakeside Manor. Most of these operations are held by firefighters. No need for anybody ever to mess with any of that. Access to the basement is putting in a certified key that you would have, and where it says -1 call enabled, -1 meaning basement level. You go like that. Once it's on, you can remove the key still, and then you're on your way by pushing down and having access to the basement. Without that, it will not let you leave any floor except 1, 2, 3, and 4. Door hold buttons, close buttons, pretty self-standard. If you are ever in a situation you're trapped in the elevator for any reason, you can push this number, this button here, push to call. Instructions here, emergency light, the message is playing. If it's a blinking light, it's being received. There'll actually be a live operator coming on here that we'll listen to now.
5. This message will play 2 times. Please stay on the line. Press star star to repeat message. Press star pound before hanging up. Possible elevator emergency, Lakeside Apartments, 300 South Minnesota Street, Redwood Falls, Minnesota. Elevator number 2. Elevator telephone number 507-627-7665. This message will play 2 times. Please stay on the line. Press star star to repeat message. Press star pound before hanging up.
Coming into the elevator solution, so we're speaking. Are you stuck in the elevator?
No, Hillary, we are just doing a testing and training today for the owners.
All right, we've got you at the Lakeside Apartments, 300 South Minnesota Street, Redwood Falls, Minnesota, elevator 2.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, and it has reset itself. There you went to dispatch. That pretty much concludes everything for the elevator. As far as owners or questions, maintenance, here is the number, which is the same thing as pushing that button. You can call that. It's a 24-hour service. They'll help you with any questions you have with the elevator, as it is their equipment. Okay, Lakeside Manor, laundry room equipment. How to purchase a laundry card and use it in the machines. So we're going to buy the card today, and you're going to do that with a credit card. It can be a debit card, a credit card, or a prepaid credit card, as long as it is fully activated. Prepaid credit card has to be fully activated with its financial institution. We accept the price of $10 to buy the laundry card. And we will now swipe our credit card. Easy as that. Here's your prepaid kiosk laundry card. Now, the card comes with a zero balance on it. We'll have to add money to it. So we're going to add the value to the card. Insert your card down below. $10 minimum. You can add whichever amount you wish. Now have $10 on your laundry card. Here are the laundry machines. You have your washer, your dryer, and we have our stacked washer and dryers. Washer credit cards on this side. Drain a balance of $10. You can follow the prompts below on your wash cycle and hit start, remove your card, and you're on your way. For the owners and maintenance of the laundry equipment here, BDS Laundry System, they are doing the monitoring over this kiosk, prepaid card system, and laundry equipment. The number here is the number you will call for any service questions or issues with your machines. We're on first floor, Lakeside Manor. Each floor in the building has its electrical closet and a main corridor lobby area. You do need an authorized key to get in this closet. These closets control the common areas in each floor based on the floor it's on. Here's a panel, for example, that is for the laundry room. Anything with receptacles, washer, dryers in the laundry room would be all here, labeled here on the panel for maintenance. You also have your common lighting controls in all these panels. These are just for common area electrical uses.
All right, this is the main electrical control cabinet for the entire building. This is the main switchgear here. This is the main lever that'll shut off the power to the entire building. So if there's ever need for that, this is where that's located. If there's any questions or concerns or anything doesn't work right, the number for the electrician is right here on the sticker, Guarantee Electric. And they can more than happy give you help you out with whatever you need. Okay, this is the electrical rack for the camera system. Down here, this big long box is the camera server. This is where the video is actually recorded. You can see there's lights on here flickering. This is in a normal state. This is the way it should look. If it's ever off, you won't hear any of the fans running. You won't see any of these lights on. They'll all be dead. If that's ever the case, you come down here and it's dead, simply just push this little red button in the upper right corner, and you should hear it rev up and turn on, and it should resume its operation after it starts up. So other than that, it should be hands-free. You shouldn't have to touch it. You should be able to sit down here for 10 years and just be fine.